The result in St. Paul's is certainly disappointing. We knew it was going to be a hard fight. I think it's especially disappointing because so many of us know Leslie. We know how hard she and her team worked. And I do also want to congratulate Don Stewart. He and his team worked hard as well. We know that these are hard times for Canadians. We know that we have to work hard to earn back their trust.
Freeland mentions Leslie. That is a reference to Leslie Church. She was the Liberal candidate running in that by-election who many thought was going to win and who lost. Let's bring in CTV's Rachel Aiello, who is standing by, our senior parliamentary correspondent, digital here at CTV News. Rachel, good to see you. Appreciate your time. We're going to bring up the results for our viewers across the country to give them a sense of how things looked. The Conservatives winning this by 42.1%. Leslie Church had 40.5%. The NDP and the Green Party not really players whatsoever in all of this. Your thoughts on Justin Trudeau, and in particular, not taking any questions. I don't think I've seen that in a long time. There's media in the room. He makes one pre-prepared statement that was already issued by his office. He reads it pretty much verbatim on camera, exactly what we had in the statement, and then that's it. No questions from reporters.
Good afternoon, Todd. So I believe in some of the planning of this, there was early indications prior to the results that the Prime Minister's event today wouldn't include him taking questions. But certainly, yes, if he did want to try to get out ahead of all of the chatter we are now getting because of the by-election results, certainly he could have taken a couple questions. Chrystia Freeland as well took a few but was reluctant, largely, again, saying the same thing, that this massive, stunning loss for the Liberals in this Toronto by-election is a sign to them that they have to keep working, Todd. What they're talking about is putting their head down and knowing now Canadians have sent them a very strong sign, losing a long-time Liberal riding in downtown Toronto, that they have lost trust with voters and they have a ways to go. And that is both what Freeland and the Prime Minister said in their remarks, acknowledging this loss and kind of avoiding some of the chatter we are now getting from sources and Liberal MPs about what this could mean for the Prime Minister's future.
Yeah, so let's talk about that and whether the strategy is more of the same, or do they shake things up? And if they do, what does that look like? Does Trudeau leave?
I think these are all questions that are still being explored, Todd. We were speaking with some Liberal MPs and other sources. Clearly, both war rooms were shocked by this stunning result. And so there is still a lot of reverberations being felt about what this means for the political summer ahead. Certainly, this is, as pundits and we had talked about leading up to this by-election, has opened up that door for the kind of quiet murmurs about the Prime Minister's leadership, 11 years as Liberal leader, whether it is time for him to go. Certainly, that was a suggestion that even if the Liberals had held this riding, but narrowly, that those kind of quieter voices in the party could become louder. Certainly, this loss is likely, Todd, to see that only amplify. But as long as the Prime Minister continues to say that he's going to keep working, they're going to have to look at policy changes, whether that's the carbon tax or other measures. Certainly, their last budget targeting the Gen Z demographic didn't stick. So I'm not sure where they go this summer to try to win back that support and the trust. And it kind of leaves that question, Todd, of is there any other thing they could do, pull out of their hat over the next couple months to turn things around?
I know that you have been doing a deep dive, and I've been doing a deep dive on that riding. And I mean, you know, it was won by the Liberals, you know, election after election, and it was never even close, Rachel. Carolyn Bennett won it by, 20, 25-point spreads throughout a number of elections. The last person to win it for the Conservatives, Barbara McDougall, back in 1988, when Brian Mulroney was still Prime Minister. Just goes to show you, when we say Liberal stronghold, it is one of the most Liberal strongholds of all strongholds right across the country. So the takeaway here is huge for the party. And although they may try to spin it, well, we almost won it, I gather this is going to be very, very concerning for them.
Yeah, they can always keep saying, the only poll that matters is election day. Well, here you have one. That has kind of been their messaging as we've been going to them about the consistent polling that is showing Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre well above the Liberals in public opinion polls. And now we have an actual vote with a result that is clear that Canadians are looking for change. And it's not the only opportunity for this, Todd. Obviously, we'll see how this plays out with the Prime Minister over the summer. But there are a number of other vacancies that have come open in the last couple of months where they will have to have more federal by-elections. So if this one wasn't the referendum, there are still opportunities for the Liberals to try to make a case to Canadians as those polling dates are announced. But certainly I think this is opening up a lot of questions for where the Liberals go from here when you're talking about what the Prime Minister's fate is, but also looking at Liberal MPs. We've been speaking with a few, our colleague Vashi Kapelos, and some of them are suggesting that this is it. This is the Prime Minister needs to take a walk. We are drowning with him. And so I do wonder if we are going to get to those next couple by-elections, Todd. In the current dynamics that we have, there's also questions based on how the NDP did in this by-election of how much longer NDP leader Jagmeet Singh wants to have his cart hitched to the Liberals through that supply and confidence deal. That's supposed to be in place until July 2025, ahead of that next federal election, which is supposed to be in October. But as of today, Todd, this is kind of like a seismic shift, and we're all still feeling the reverberations.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of buzz about the so-called walk in the snow. That was what his father did back in the early 80s when he realized the writing was on the wall and a huge conservative victory was coming. Pierre Elliott Trudeau decided to step away from politics. The question is, will his son decide to do the same thing as a result of this by-election? We'll see. Rachel, good to see you as always. Thanks for this.
Thanks, Todd.